Why it will go up? Even though it is having very huge mass, the momentum exerted by hot gases is extremely high. So that is why, but this, so that they will act the reaction force on the rocket in the opposite direction. So that is why even though the rocket is having more mass, it will fly up in the direction. So that is what it is due to the very high speed or velocity of backward rushing of gases, which is having a large momentum. So they impart equal and opposite momentum on the whom? The gases will impart equal and opposite momentum on the whom? Momentum to the jet aeroplane. Understand? So that the jet aeroplanes moves forward with a greater velocity or speed. So that is why we can say the rockets and jet aeroplanes work on the principle of what? Work on the principle of law of conservation of momentum, or we can say it is also working on based upon what principle? Third law. That is what? Newton's third law of motion. So both it is working. Newton's third law of motion, action is equals to reaction. Conservation of momentum of gases, hot gases, which is released by burning fuel, which is equals to momentum of rocket. So both it is like, because of hot gases are releasing, they will exert huge amount of momentum in opposite direction. That is why the rocket or jet aeroplane will fly up in the opposite direction. Is it okay, everybody? Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please note it down. That. So we can say that jet aeroplanes, we can also say that rockets and jet aeroplanes will work on the principle of conservation of momentum. Of what? Conservation of momentum along with the Newton's third law of motion. Is it okay, everybody? Yes? Now, one more
Yes, sir.
application I will say in the today's class, but in the next class, I will say you with the formula. That is what explosion of bomb also. But actually, it is not there in our textbook. You are having this jet aeroplanes and rockets, and as well as next one is recoil velocity. That is what recoil of a gun. So next class we'll study explosion of a bomb also. Is it okay, everybody? Yes. That is what. Now, the second application of law of conservation of momentum, that is what? Recoil of a gun. What is that, guys? Recoil of a gun. So please, all of you keep it. Recoil of a gun. What do you mean by recoil? Mitakshri, Reddy, anybody? What do you mean by recoil? Once the bullet is fired, the backward movement of gun is only called as what? Movement of gun is only called as recoil. Is it yes or no? Yes, please respond. Now, if I will fire the bullet, let me take, this is a gun. You can notice it. So this is the barrel. So now if I will fire the gun, now you can notice it. If I will press the trigger, so that bullet will go in the forward direction. So bullet will go in the forward direction. So now this is what we used to call as what? Action or reaction? We used to call it as action. Now, if the gun is exerting force on the bullet, that is what action. Then bullet also will exert the same force on the gun. That is what we used to call it as what? Reaction. Yes or no, guys? Now, this is due to this reaction, understanding when the bullet is moving with more speed or velocity, so that it will exert large momentum, understanding, so that momentum will be exerted on the gun in the backward direction. But is it the gun is moving with the more fast or less velocity? More velocity or less velocity?
Less velocity, sir.
Less velocity. Why it is less velocity? Because its mass is what? In spite of its heavy mass is more, but here mass is what? Mass is less. Understand? So its velocity is more, and here mass is more, so that who is less? Velocity is less. So velocity of the gun only, what we used to call? Recoil velocity. What we used to call? Recoil velocity. Understand? So here even the recoil of the gun is also not only with the Newton's third law, also it will work with the law of conservation of momentum. So can anybody tell how it is law of conservation of momentum? Anybody? So I can say momentum of the bullet, which is equals to momentum of the gun. Is it right or wrong? Anybody? Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Momentum of the bullet is equals to momentum of the gun. Is it right or wrong? Will you accept it?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes,
So
sir.
momentum of the bullet, what is the formula? Momentum of the bullet. Anybody can tell. Momentum of the bullet is equals to what is the formula? Mass of the bullet. What is that? Mass of bullet. Mass of bullet into what will come? Anybody? Velocity of bullet.
Well,
Velocity of bullet, which is equals to here what will come? Anybody? Mass of gun into velocity of gun we used to call with some name. That's now I said. Velocity of gun we used to call it as what? We should call it as a recoil velocity. What we used to call, guys? Velocity of a gun we should call it as recoil velocity. So I can say recoil velocity of the gun. Is it right or wrong, Hari? Ready? That's all. So this is only called as law of conservation of momentum. So momentum of the bullet, which is equals to momentum of the gun, that is what mass of the bullet, let me consider mb, and into velocity of the bullet, what I can consider vb, which is equals to mass of the gun is mg into recoil velocity of the gun is vg. So this is what we used to call as law of conservation of momentum. So even though the recoil velocity of the gun is also working with the principle called as which principle? Law of conservation of momentum. So the momentum of the bullet, which is equals to momentum of the gun always. That is what we can say. Momentum of the bullet, which is equals to what? Momentum of the gun. So this is what the second application of what is that? Law of conservation of momentum. In the next class, we will study the application of explosion, bomb explosion. So bomb blasting, you all people know bomb blasting? Yes, please. So bomb blasting actually explosion of of a bomb is also an example of law of conservation of momentum. For that one formula also there. That formula also I will teach you so that it will be helpful for you in the future also. Okay. So that we will study. So now till here everybody make it and note down. If any doubt, please let me know. Hope you all understand.
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Please write. So that is what. So velocity of the gun, what we used to call? What is the name of the velocity of the gun? Velocity of the gun we used to call that recoil velocity. Please remember that. Velocity of the gun we used to call it as recoil velocity. Make it everyone. That is what it is. What is law of conservation of momentum and its applications. Okay. You can write it. Completed, guys? Yeah, once it is completed, you can leave from the meeting.